If you're building websites, whether it's for your clients, maybe your own passion projects, or that new business idea that just sparked, and you see yourself launching more than one this year, then you absolutely need to just hit pause on any hosting decisions you might be about to make. We've all been there, haven't we? That familiar frustration of juggling a dozen different logins, getting hit with those unexpected bills because you misread a pricing tier, or just staring at a dashboard so overwhelming it makes you want to just abandon your digital dreams before they even get off the ground. Today, we're diving deep into a solution that really promises to cut through all that noise. HostGator's Baby Plan. It's often talked about as the budget-friendly way to host, an unlimited number of sites, all conveniently tucked under one roof. Our mission, pretty simple, to unpack everything about this plan. We're talking its core features, the genuine real-world benefits for creators, entrepreneurs, freelancers, also its honest practical limitations, got to talk about those and how it truly stacks up against other HostGator offerings and the popular competitors out there. Plus, and this is key, we'll give you essential setup tips to make your sites not just secure, but lightning fast no matter where your audience actually calls home.
Yeah, our goal for you today is really straightforward. We want to give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed, making sure you get those aha moments, but without all the information overload that usually comes with researching this stuff. Think of this as your personal guide, basically, helping you feel genuinely confident in your hosting choices for the long haul.
And why should this deep dive matter to you, right now? Well, picture this. Are you maybe a freelancer building out a diverse portfolio to showcase your skills? Or perhaps spinning up multiple client sites for your growing agency? Maybe you're an entrepreneur setting up those crucial landing pages for different campaigns, or a blogger diving into a handful of niche topics, or even thinking about launching several online stores. If any of that sounds familiar, then you're likely dreaming of, one dashboard to manage everything, right? One simple, predictable bill, one robust hosting environment that just works, and crucially, that expansive room to scale your ambitions without needing immediate, often expensive upgrades. You also probably need something that's genuinely budget-friendly and comes with support that actually helps, not hinders, when you inevitably run into a snag. Because let's face it, snags happen.
Exactly. And choosing the right multi-site hosting, it's not just, a technical tech box. It can genuinely transform your entire workflow. It can profoundly impact your long-term costs and your ability to scale. The real genius here, I think, is how one plan aims to cover so many of these diverse needs simultaneously. It's not merely about saving a few bucks up front. It's about setting up a foundational infrastructure that truly supports your creative and entrepreneurial ambitions without becoming this perpetual technical headache. It's really about empowering you to build more, create more, and scale your vision with confidence.
Okay, so let's unpack this foundational question first. Who exactly is HostGator? They're definitely a long-standing name in the web hosting world, right? Lots of people recognize the Gator logo. And they're actually part of the much larger Newfold Digital Group, which is this massive umbrella company that's behind several other big web brands you might already know. HostGator themselves, they're primarily known for their, incredibly beginner-friendly shared hosting, their round-the-clock 24/7 support, which, let's be honest, is a huge peace of mind factor for a lot of people. And also a pretty generous refund policy. Gives you ample time to try them out, which is nice.
Yeah, that longevity and the backing by a digital giant like Newfold Digital, that's actually a critical point. It often translates directly to stability and a robust infrastructure, which for anyone building a serious online presence is kind of non-negotiable, isn't it? It means they're not some fly-by-night operation. They have the deep pockets, the resources, the decades of experience to maintain their systems, constantly upgrade their tech, and support a massive customer base effectively. So for you, the listener, this suggests your digital real estate isn't just hosted, it's protected by a fortress with significant resources behind it. That's the real psychological relief, I think. It allows you to focus squarely on building your projects, not worrying if your host will suddenly vanish or become unreliable. It provides that reliable foundation, reducing the risk of unexpected outages or your provider just disappearing overnight with your data.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. And frankly, it's the core reason we're doing this deep dive today, the Baby Plan. It's often considered HostGator's undisputed sweet spot, especially if your vision goes beyond just a single website. The big win, the headline feature that truly sets it apart, is its allowance for hosting an unlimited number of websites on just one account. For many people we talk to, this is like an absolute game changer.
Yeah, this unlimited websites concept is genuinely critical. It means you can add as many domains and websites as your projects or your clients or just your creative whims require, without constantly having to upgrade your hosting package or, worse, pay per site as you grow, which gets expensive fast. It's a fundamental difference from those single site plans. It offers, well, unparalleled flexibility. Alongside this, the plan boasts unmetered storage and bandwidth. Now, got to be super clear on that. Unmetered isn't infinite, right? Think of it maybe like an all-you-can-eat buffet. There's plenty for most people, and you won't be charged extra for typical usage. But if you try to take home the entire kitchen or consistently host extremely resource-intensive applications, well, the restaurant's going to notice eventually. It simply means that for typical website usage, you won't be charged based on specific data limits or transfer caps. However, and this is important, every shared hosting environment has underlying fair usage limits. Things like CPU, memory, and what are called enode counts.
Enodes. Okay, what's that exactly?
Yeah, right. Good question. It's basically the total number of files and folders on your account. Every single file, every image, every folder counts as one inode. So even if you have disk space, if you have millions of tiny files, you could hit that limit. These limits are there basically to prevent one single user from hogging all the server resources and slowing things down for everyone else on that shared server. For most small to medium websites, these limits are perfectly generous, honestly, but it's an important distinction to understand your boundaries. This combination, though, the unlimited sites and unmetered resources within reason, it provides a lot of breathing room for growth without feeling constrained by resource limits from day one.
Okay, so translating all that technical stuff into like your day-to-day workflow, what does this actually mean for you? Unlimited websites on one account, that sounds like an absolute dream for freelancers, creators, maybe even small businesses, right? Imagine the freedom. You can add new domains, new subdomains, anytime you need to directly from your cPanel, often in just a few clicks. Think about it. Keeping all your client sites, your niche blogs, your personal passion projects, maybe it's a portfolio, a local business site, an experimental landing page, all under one single login. Each site neatly organized in its own separate folder with its own dedicated database. This just simplifies your entire digital life, doesn't it? Streamlines everything from management to billing.
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it vastly simplifies management. You're looking at one consolidated bill, one familiar control panel to navigate, not learning 5 different ones. A unified environment for all your web properties. So this naturally leads us to ask, how does this truly translate to actual productivity and, frankly, peace of mind? It means significantly less time spent on those tedious admin tasks like tracking multiple hosting accounts, logging in and out constantly, deciphering different billing statements. You know the drill. Instead, you gain precious hours back, which you can then dedicate to building, creating new content, engaging with your audience, or, acquiring new clients. This consolidation is a really significant, tangible efficiency boost for anyone managing multiple online presences. It truly frees up your mental energy.
Right. And then there's the unmetered storage and bandwidth piece, which, like you said, often sounds almost too good to be true. It implies you can generally grow your sites without constantly watching every single megabyte of data you upload or worrying about traffic spikes hitting some hidden cap, as long as you're within those fair usage guidelines you mentioned. It genuinely alleviates a lot of that anxiety that comes with resource monitoring, doesn't it? Especially when you're just starting out or maybe experimenting with new projects.
Exactly. While, as we clarified, unmetered isn't infinite, it absolutely allows for significant organic growth for the vast majority of users, especially the typical freelancer or small business owner. For you, the listener, this means you can focus squarely on content creation, maybe adding media-rich elements like high-res images or videos, or building your audience. Rather than becoming an expert in server resource monitoring right from the outset, you don't want that headache. You have the flexibility to expand your site's content or handle growing visitor numbers without immediately hitting some hard ceiling. It's designed to comfortably accommodate typical small to medium site needs. Now, of course, if you were to suddenly launch, the next TikTok or Netflix, generating extreme resource usage that might eventually lead to a conversation about upgrading, sure. But for 99% of multi-site users, it's really ample.
Okay, and the fact that you get free SSL certificates for all your domains hosted on the plan, that's just a non-negotiable in today's digital landscape, isn't it? It's not a luxury anymore. Having HTTPS enabled by default just means your sites are secure, trustworthy, ready for modern web standards.
Absolutely. SSL encrypts the traffic between your website and your visitors. That's fundamental for protecting sensitive user data, critically important on e-commerce sites or any site collecting personal info. But beyond that crucial security layer, it's also a significant SEO factor. Google explicitly favors secure sites in its search rankings, so it helps you get found. The key insight here is that free SSL isn't just about encryption, it's about building instant trust and authority with every single visitor. Without that little Shadlock icon in the browser address bar, you're potentially losing credibility, and maybe even Google ranking before a user even reads your first word. It's like the ultimate digital handshake, you know? And having it included for all sites on your plan is a major convenience. You just need to make sure you configure your site, especially in content management systems like WordPress, to always force HTTPS. Make sure all traffic goes through that secure connection.
Good tip. And free email accounts for your domains. I mean, having you at yourdomain.com just instantly sounds more professional than, say, a generic Gmail address, right? It helps solidify your brand identity across all your different projects.
It absolutely does. And it builds that immediate layer of trust and legitimacy with your audience and clients. It looks like you mean business. You can easily create these professional email accounts directly in your cPanel. Access them either via the provided webmail interfaces or by configuring them in your favorite desktop or mobile email client like Outlook or Apple Mail. Now, a critical detail here that's often overlooked but vital for ensuring your emails actually land in inboxes and not spam folders is setting up what are called SPF Sender Policy Framework and DKIM domain keys identified mail records for your domains.
SPF and DKIM. Okay, sound technical.
They sound technical, but don't worry too much about the acronyms themselves. Just know they're basically like your email's digital ID card. They tell other email servers that your messages are legitimate and truly coming from your domain. It's a simple but vital step for deliverability that takes just a few minutes to set up in cPanel, but makes a huge difference in avoiding the spam folder.
Okay, that's super helpful. Now, for folks who aren't coders or IT experts, which, let's face it, is probably most of us, those one-click installs for WordPress and other popular apps like Joomla or Drupal, they sound like an absolute lifesaver. It means you don't need to be a seasoned developer to get a sophisticated functional site up and running pretty quickly.
Oh, it truly lowers the barrier to entry, which is invaluable, really. This speed of deployment is incredibly useful for quickly testing new ideas, spinning up niche projects, launching a campaign landing page fast, or getting a client site live without some lengthy, complex setup process. You simply select the application you want, usually WordPress, choose your domain, click a button, and the installer handles all the intricate back-end work. The database creation, the file setup, the configuration, all behind the scenes. It's efficiency personified, honestly. Allows you to focus on the fun stuff, the content and design right from day one.
And full cPanel access. That gives you serious granular control, right? From file management to databases to those email settings we just talked about. It really puts you in the driver's seat.
Yeah, cPanel is the industry standard for a reason. It's universally recognized, incredibly comprehensive. It's a powerful dashboard that truly empowers you to manage virtually every aspect of your hosting environment. From organizing your site files with the file manager, maybe direct database manipulation with PHPMyAdmin if you need it, fine-tuning DNS settings with the zone editor, and even scheduling automated tasks with cron jobs. We can talk more about those later. It offers a level of detailed control that many, maybe more entry-level hosts might obscure with simplified proprietary interfaces. So for anyone who likes to dig into the back end, or for professionals who need that fine-grained control, cPanel is a huge asset. It streamlines a lot of technical tasks.
Okay, knowing that support is always there feels critical, especially when you're managing multiple sites and something inevitably goes a bit sideways. HostGator offers 24/7/365 support via live chat and phone. That's definitely reassuring on paper. But let's be honest, not all 24/7 support is created equal, is it? What's the real scoop there? What kind of wait times or resolution quality should listeners actually expect?
That's a totally fair question, and yeah, it's a critical component of any hosting service. HostGator's 24/7/365 availability does offer significant peace of mind, knowing there's always someone available for quick fixes. Especially for common issues like email setup, basic WordPress troubleshooting, or maybe billing inquiries, that's a major benefit for both new and experienced users alike. Now, wait times, yeah, they can fluctuate depending on the hour or if it's a peak period. But their response quality for these kind of standard queries is generally pretty solid. For more complex, maybe server-level issues, it might take a bit longer or require escalation to a higher tier of support. That's fairly typical. But for the majority of the day-to-day challenges you might face, you can expect reasonably prompt assistance. And beyond direct contact, they also maintain a very extensive knowledge base. It's an excellent resource for self-service troubleshooting if you prefer to find answers on your own first. So yeah, it's a robust safety net overall.
And that 45-day money-back guarantee on shared hosting, That seems quite generous compared to what some other providers offer, doesn't it? Significantly reduces the upfront risk.
It certainly is one of the longer refund windows in the industry, yeah. And it absolutely reduces your risk, gives you real confidence to try out the service. This extended period means you can truly experiment with the baby plan and all its features, maybe migrate a couple of sites over, get a real feel for the environment without feeling locked in immediately. However, it's important to remember, as with most hosts, that domain registration fees and certain optional add-ons, once you purchase them, are typically non-refundable. So always factor that into your initial cost assessment. But for the core hosting service itself, that 45-day window is a strong commitment to customer satisfaction.
Okay, and a 99.9% uptime guarantee, does that mean my sites, even if I'm running multiple projects, will truly be almost always available to my visitors?
Precisely. That's the industry standard guarantee, and it assures a very high level of reliability for your visitors. What 99.9% uptime translates to in real-world terms is that your site should theoretically be online for all but about 8 hours and 45 minutes per year. That's not much downtime at all. Now, while no host can genuinely guarantee 100% uptime, unforeseen circumstances, essential maintenance, maybe internet-wide issues happen if their uptime does fall below this 99.9% threshold. They'll usually credit your account as per their service level agreement, their SLA. It demonstrates their strong commitment to keeping your sites online and accessible to your audience consistently.
Good to know. On top of all those core features, HostGator often includes a free domain for the first year with eligible plans. That's a nice little bonus, isn't it? Especially if you're launching a brand new project.
It definitely is. It's a common promotional offer that adds tangible value, particularly if you're launching a brand new site and need to register a fresh domain name. Saves you that initial registration fee, maybe $15, $20. Just be sure to check the specific terms of the current offer when you sign up. It often requires a 12-month or longer initial hosting term to qualify for the free domain. So always, read the fine print to ensure you get the full benefit.
Right, always the fine print. What about moving existing sites? Say I already have a few websites hosted somewhere else and I want to consolidate them onto this baby plan. Is that going to be a massive headache?
Hopefully not. Actually, new accounts typically receive a limited number of free migrations, provided they're requested within a set time window after purchase, usually the first 30 days. This is a huge benefit because HostGator's own team handles the technical heavy lifting, transferring your website files, moving the database over, takes the stress off your shoulders. It can save you significant time and effort, especially when you're looking to consolidate several existing web properties onto your new baby plan account. So definitely check the current terms and conditions for this service when you sign up, because it can be a real game changer for a smooth transition. Get them to do the work for free if you can.
Excellent tip. Okay, so with all these robust features laid out, unlimited sites, SSL, email, support, migrations, who exactly is the HostGator Baby Plan a perfect fit for? Let's paint a picture.
Yeah, it really is a versatile workhorse, perfect for a few key demographics. Firstly, freelancers and small agencies. People who need to host multiple small to medium client sites. It lets them streamline their entire operation, manage everything from one central account, simplify their billing and admin. Huge time saver. Secondly, it's ideal for creators and entrepreneurs. Those folks running several brands, maybe constantly launching microsites for campaigns, setting up various sales funnels, or just experimenting with new online ventures. The unlimited site feature means they can rapidly prototype and grow without constantly worrying about adding new hosting accounts. Then there are bloggers and niche site builders, individuals who often need to spin up new sites quickly and efficiently for various topics, affiliate strategies, or different monetization efforts. And finally, think about local businesses, maybe ones with multiple locations or those needing to create language-specific versions of their website. They can easily manage all these variations under one umbrella. It truly empowers anyone building a diverse portfolio of web properties.
It really does sound like a solid foundation, something that removes so many of those common barriers to just expanding your online presence. And this is important, what are the realistic limitations? Who should probably skip the baby plan and maybe look for something more robust, something with more dedicated power?
This is a crucial distinction, yeah. Because while it's fantastic for many, it's essential to have realistic expectations about shared hosting. It's not magic. So the critical question then becomes, who might find themselves quickly needing more power than this plan can offer? The primary group would be anyone with high-traffic e-commerce stores or exceptionally resource-heavy web applications. Think very large online stores, maybe with thousands of products processing hundreds of daily transactions, or complex learning platforms with many concurrent users accessing courses, streaming video, taking quizzes, or custom applications with intense continuous database queries. You'll likely outgrow the shared resources pretty quickly in those scenarios. It's like a busy highway, right? Mostly smooth, but rush hour, peak times can bring traffic jams if you're pushing it too hard. For those kinds of demands, you'd really need to look towards a virtual private server, VPS, maybe a dedicated server, cloud hosting, or specialized managed WordPress hosting that's optimized for higher performance. Another group includes projects needing special compliance. Things like HIPAA for handling sensitive healthcare data, or strict PCI DSS requirements for processing credit card information directly. Or maybe projects needing true root access to the server and highly custom server modules installed. These often require a more isolated, dedicated, and configurable environment than shared hosting can provide, precisely because of that inherent resource sharing.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, you can't reasonably expect a shared environment, no matter how good it is, to handle the kind of enterprise-level demands of, I don't know, a Fortune 500 company's entire infrastructure. It's really about matching the right tool to the right task, isn't it?
Exactly. The very nature of shared hosting means resources, things like CPU cycles, RAM, even network bandwidth, are by definition shared among many users on the same physical server. For typical websites, this pooling of resources is efficient and very cost-effective. That's the appeal. But for those extreme edge cases, that shared environment can become a bottleneck. It's just physics, really. It's critical to understand that the Baby Plan excels at a broad range of typical small to medium websites and multi-site portfolios. But for very niche, high-demand applications, more specialized and isolated solutions are necessary to avoid performance issues or even temporary downtime.
Okay, let's pivot slightly to security. We've already covered the fantastic inclusion of free SSL for every single site, which is absolutely non-negotiable these days. But what about broader site security? What's built in at HostGator's end? And maybe equally important, what's my responsibility as the site owner? Where does their job end and mine begin?
Right, good question. Beyond the included SSL, HostGator does provide foundational security layers. This typically includes basic firewalls at the server level, regular security audits of their infrastructure, and implementing server hardening measures as standard practice. These are essential, proactive steps they take behind the scenes. However, this is a shared environment, remember. And critically, your individual site's security posture is also paramount. You can't just rely on the host. If we connect this to the bigger picture of website ownership, regular updates are absolutely non-negotiable. For WordPress users, that means diligently keeping your WordPress core software, all your themes, and all your plugins updated to their latest versions. These updates frequently include critical security patches. Leaving them outdated is honestly like leaving your digital front door wide open. Additionally, you should strongly consider bolstering your site with security plugins. Things like WordFence or Securi are popular choices. These offer additional firewall protection right at the application level, malware scanning, vulnerability monitoring, acting as a powerful second line of defense for your specific site. And finally, enabling two-factor authentication, 2FA, for all your logins that include your HostGator account, your cPanel login, and every single WordPress admin account adds a crucial, often overlooked layer of defense against unauthorized access. It's really a team effort between you and your host.
Okay, this next one is a big one for me personally, and I know it's a constant concern for our listeners. Backups. Are they automatically handled for me by HostGator? Or is that something I really need to take seriously and manage myself, like really manage it?
This is perhaps the most critical distinction to understand, honestly. And what's fascinating, or maybe frustrating depending on your perspective, is that while courtesy backups may exist, they are explicitly not guaranteed by HostGator. This is a crucial policy detail, and it's very common across shared hosting providers, not just HostGator. You should always treat these potential courtesy backups as a bonus. Maybe a last resort, but absolutely not as your primary reliable backup strategy. We cannot stress this enough. For truly reliable daily backups and easy one-click restores when you need them, you must take full ownership of this critical task yourself. Consider adding a dedicated backup service. CodeGuard is one HostGator often offers as an affordable add-on, and it provides automated daily backups with easy restore points. That's a good option. Alternatively, implement your favorite off-site solution, whether that's a WordPress plugin like Updraft Plus or BackWPup, configured to automatically send backups to a cloud storage service like Dropbox, Google Drive, or Amazon S3. Proactive, independent backup measures are absolutely essential to protect your invaluable data from unforeseen issues, human error, which happens, or malicious attacks. Don't assume your data is safe just because there might be a courtesy backup somewhere. Be your own digital safety net, please.
Message received loud and clear. Okay, so once your sites are up and running, whether it's 1 or 10 of them, you obviously want them to be fast, especially if you have visitors tuning in from all over the world. What are your key performance tips to really turbocharge those sites, regardless of where the traffic is actually coming from?
Yeah, speed is paramount. Both for user experience, nobody likes a slow site, and for crucial SEO rankings. Google cares about speed. This is where optimization truly shines. Firstly, content delivery networks, CDNs. Turning on a CDN like Cloudflare and even their incredibly effective free tier is a great start is your absolute best friend for global audiences. It works by caching your static content like images, CSS files, JavaScript files on servers geographically closer to your users around the world. This delivers content much faster, significantly reducing latency, and it also offers basic DDoS protection as a bonus. For visitors far from HostGator's primarily US-based data centers, a CDN isn't just a recommendation. It's pretty much a necessity for a good user experience. Secondly, caching plugins. Specifically for WordPress users, use a robust caching plugin. WP Rocket is a popular premium one. W3 Total Cache and WP Super Cache are good free options, or Lightspeed Cache if your server supports it. Check with HostGator. These plugins significantly reduce server load by serving static HTML versions of your pages instead of rebuilding them dynamically for every visitor. They dramatically improve page load times. Thirdly, image optimization. This is huge. Compress and lazy load your images. Tools like ShortPixel, Imagify, or Smush can automatically optimize images for web delivery without sacrificing too much quality. And lazy loading ensures images only load as they actually scroll into the user's viewport, not all at once when the page first loads. Images are often the heaviest part of a web page, so this makes a massive difference, especially on mobile. Fourthly, software updates. Keep things current. Always run modern PHP versions. PHP 8.x is highly recommended right now for both performance and security gains over older versions like 7.x. Check your cPanel for the PHP version selector. And as we mentioned for security, keep all your themes and plugins updated. Older software can create frustrating performance bottlenecks and expose you to vulnerabilities. Finally, HTTPS and HTTP2. Using HTTPS only, which you should be doing anyway with your free SSL, and ensuring HTTP2 is enabled, which usually happens automatically when SSL is active on modern servers, provides significant speed gains. HTTP2 allows for more efficient data transfer and parallel loading of resources compared to the older HTTP 1.1. Implementing these ticks effectively can make a huge difference in how snappy and responsive your sites feel to visitors.
That's a great checklist. Okay, we've touched on unmetered a few times and clarified that it's not infinite, but let's be super, super clear one more time. What are the actual practical limits people should genuinely be aware of with the baby plan before they mistakenly think they can, I don't know, build the next Facebook on it for $10 a month?
Right. It's a critical distinction to reiterate because the marketing term can be misleading if you don't dig deeper. Unmetered does not mean infinite or unlimited resources. You are still bound by practical limits on things like CPU usage, how much processing power your sites consume, memory or RAM usage, and those inner limits we talked about, the total number of files and folders. Remember, an inode is like an index card for every single file or folder on your account. Every image, every line of code, every tiny icon you upload uses one. You could theoretically have tons of disk space left, but if you hit your inode limit, maybe because you have millions of tiny files, perhaps from an unmanaged caching plugin generating lots of files, or a huge unoptimized image gallery, your site can still hit a bottleneck or even stop working correctly. These limits are just inherent to any shared hosting environment. They have to be there to keep things fair. While these boundaries are generous for typical use cases, blogs, portfolios, small business sites, most client work extremely high resource consumption will eventually hit these ceilings. Examples: running very complex applications constantly, performing continuous heavy database operations, processing massive amounts of data nonstop. When that happens, you might experience noticeable slowdowns, sluggish page loads, maybe even 500 internal server errors, or in extreme cases, HostGator might contact you about excessive resource usage impacting the server. This isn't really a flaw in the baby plan itself, it's just the fundamental nature of shared hosting. It's something you absolutely need to understand to manage your expectations effectively.
Okay, got it. What about sending emails from my sites? Like if I'm running a newsletter directly from WordPress, or sending out hundreds of order notifications for an e-commerce store built on WooCommerce, Are there any restrictions on email sending from the shared server itself that I need to worry about?
Yes, definitely. There are restrictions, and this is really important for deliverability. Shared servers typically have strict limits on the number of emails you can send per hour, maybe per domain. This is a necessary measure hosts implement to prevent spam originating from a shared IP address, which could get the entire server blacklisted, and to protect the server's sending reputation, which affects email deliverability for all users on that server. So for sending newsletters, any kind of marketing emails, transactional emails like order confirmations, password resets, shipping updates, or any high-volume notifications, you should absolutely positively use a dedicated transactional email service. Don't try to send bulk mail from the shared server itself. Services like SendGrid, Mailgun, Amazon SES, Postmark, there are several good ones, are specifically designed for high-volume, reliable email delivery. This approach ensures far better deliverability rates, meaning your emails actually reach the inbox, helps you comply with anti-spam regulations like CAN-SPAM or GDPR. And critically, it keeps your main hosting account's IP address reputation clean, which is vital for your other, more personal email communications using your domain. It's a small but really vital investment for any serious email operations. Don't skip this.
That's a really crucial piece of advice. Okay, so given those realities, the resource limits, the email sending caps, are there specific scenarios where the baby plan might start to feel genuinely limiting even with its unlimited sites promise? When should someone, maybe like our hypothetical freelance designer Alex, start to seriously consider an upgrade for one of their client sites, even if the other sites are fine?
Yes, definitely. While the baby plan is incredibly versatile for getting started and managing multiple typical sites, heavy and consistent workloads will eventually push its boundaries. This is where understanding your growth path becomes really crucial. You don't want to wait until things break. Think about those very large WooCommerce stores we mentioned, thousands of products, consistently high daily order volumes, or large learning platforms with hundreds of active users concurrently accessing courses, processing data, interacting with complex features all day long. These types of applications, typically characterized by intense database queries and continuous high traffic levels, will likely need more dedicated resources than shared hosting can comfortably provide over the long term. This is your clear signal. When you start seeing consistent slowdowns that aren't fixed by basic optimization, maybe performance alerts from monitoring tools, or worse, user complaints about site speed during peak times, that's when you should seriously look at upgrading that specific site. You don't necessarily need to move everything. You could look at HostGator's own business plan, which sometimes has slightly higher resource limits, or better yet, specialized managed WordPress hosting, which offers environments specifically optimized for WordPress performance and often includes better caching and support. Or move up to a virtual private server, VPS, for significantly more dedicated resources and control. The beauty here is the flexibility. You can upgrade just that one demanding site, keeping your other, less resource-hungry projects humming along cost-effectively on the baby plan.
That makes sense. Scale the individual components as needed. Now, for our more technically inclined listeners, the developers in the audience, what about developer tooling and access? Does the baby plan offer anything useful for them, even though we know it's shared hosting and not a dedicated dev environment?
Yeah, while it's obviously a shared hosting environment and not a dedicated server or a fancy TASS platform, cPanel still includes several genuinely useful features for developers doing standard web work. You have easy access to cron jobs, as we mentioned, great for scheduling automated tasks at specific intervals, invaluable for running custom scripts, data cleanup routines, maybe triggering report generation or executing custom backup processes. eBHPMyAdmin is readily available for direct database management, allows you to browse, edit, export, import, or optimize your MySQL databases, which is pretty essential for any serious WordPress development or debugging. You also get that PHP version selector. This is critical for staying up to date for both security and performance reasons. It allows you to easily switch between different PHP versions and run modern PHP 8.x versions, ensuring your applications are running on the latest, most efficient environment available on the shared server. And importantly, SSH, Secure Shell Access, is commonly available, though you might need to request it to be enabled for your account. SSH is incredibly helpful for command line interface CLI tasks. Things like managing files much more efficiently than FTP, running command line tools, or integrating with version control systems like Git for pulling updates or deploying code. However, it's worth reiterating. True root access, which gives you complete low-level control over the server's operating system and allows installing custom software, is not available on shared hosting. That's a key limitation. Also, built-in staging environments, which are common on more advanced managed hosted plans for testing changes safely, aren't standard on a shared hosting like the baby plan. So for testing updates or new features, you typically rely on WordPress plugins that create a staging site within your account, or manually clone your site to a subdomain for development work before pushing changes live. So yeah, it's a capable environment for most standard web development tasks, just not for highly specialized or server-level customization needs.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of the dev capabilities. Now, let's put the Baby Plan into context by comparing it directly to HostGator's other shared hosting options. We know there's the Hashling plan below it and the business plan above it. How do they stack up against our star player today?
Right. Understanding the distinctions within HostGator's own shared hosting lineup is crucial for making sure you pick the absolute right plan for your needs, not just defaulting to the cheapest or most expensive. The Hatchling plan is the absolute entry-level option. It's designed for exactly one single website. Full stop. It's the cheapest way to get started with HostGator, perfect for an individual who only needs a single, simple online presence, maybe a personal blog, a resume site, or a single portfolio site. The clear downside, though, is that you will immediately outgrow it the very moment you think about needing a second site, so it's quite restrictive for anyone with multi-site ambitions. Simple, but limiting. Then we have the Baby Plan, which, as we've spent this whole time discussing, is really the star of our deep dive today. This plan is best for hosting multiple websites, making it the ideal choice for freelancers, creators, entrepreneurs, anyone managing more than one online property. It offers that key unlimited sites feature, fantastic value for what you get, and the same core features as the Hatchling, SSL, email, cPanel, but with that crucial scalability for growth built in. It's the sweet spot. Finally, there's the Business Plan. This is positioned as being best for small businesses that specifically want or need a few extra bundled features. This plan often includes add-ons like an upgraded positive SSL certificate, which sometimes comes with a site seal for displaying greater trust, maybe a dedicated IP address, which can be useful for certain security needs, some older applications, or sometimes email reputation, though less critical now than it used to be, or even some basic SEO tools bundled in. Though it's important to note, these specific bundled offerings can vary by promotion or region, so always check what's currently included. You should really only consider the business plan if those specific extras bundled together are a must-have for your operations and represent good value as a bundle. Otherwise, honestly, the Baby Plan, plus maybe just paying a la carte for one or two specific add-ons if you really need them, like maybe Code Guard backups, might prove more cost-effective in the long run.
That makes a lot of sense. So the Baby Plan really does seem to hit that perfect sweet spot for multi-site users, offering that crucial unlimited site allowance without forcing you into potentially expensive bundles you might not actually need. It's really about targeted value and flexibility. Okay, but let's broaden the scope now. That's HostGator's internal lineup. How does the Baby Plan stack up against other popular alternatives out there in the wider hosting market? People hear about Bluehost, SiteGround, A2, DreamHost.
Right. This is where it gets truly interesting, because the hosting market is crowded and each alternative tends to offer a slightly different flavor or prioritize different aspects. Your choice really depends heavily on what you value most. Is it raw support quality, advanced features, a specific control panel experience, or maybe the balance between initial cost versus long-term renewal pricing? So for example, let's look at Bluehost. Their Plus, or Choice Pluses plans, offer a very similar multi-site allowance to the Baby Plan. Bluehost also has a very strong beginner focus, often with a WordPress-centric dashboard and experience that's incredibly user-friendly, especially for new bloggers. They're often recommended by WordPress itself. A key differentiator, though, is that HostGator generally offers that longer 45-day refund window compared to Bluehost's standard 30 days, which gives you a little more time to test things out. Both are owned by Newfold Digital, interestingly. Then there's SiteGround. Their Grow Big plan is often the comparison point. SiteGround is really renowned for its strong performance, often excellent customer support, and including more advanced features right out of the box, like built-in server-level caching, their supercacher, staging environments for testing, and maybe more developer-friendly tools. However, and this is a big however, SiteGround typically has significantly higher renewal pricing than HostGator or Bluehost. So it represents a different value proposition, often targeting users willing to pay a premium specifically for that top-tier speed, support, and those adjust features. What about A2 hosting? Their Drive plan is often compared. A2 is frequently considered more developer-friendly, and they heavily market their optional turbo servers, which are designed for enhanced speed using Lightspeed technology. They offer good performance, but again, it can often be pricier depending on the exact configuration and specific features you choose, especially if you opt for those turbo plans. And lastly, DreamHost. Their shared unlimited plan also offers unlimited sites and traffic, much like HostGator's Baby Plan. A key difference is that DreamHost uses a custom-built control panel instead of the industry-standard cPanel. Some people love it, some prefer cPanel, so that's a matter of taste. DreamHost also has a very strong stance on user privacy and offers a generous 97-day money-back guarantee, which is one of the longest. So as you can see, each competitor provides a slightly different balance. HostGator's Baby Plan tends to sit comfortably in the middle, offering great value for unlimited sites with standard cPanel access and solid features, maybe without the premium price tag of SiteGround or the potentially higher cost of A2 Turbo, but with a longer guarantee than Bluehost. It really boils down to your specific priorities and budget.
That's a fantastic overview of the landscape. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room for pretty much all hosting plans. Money. Hosting companies often have these fantastic introductory prices that look incredibly appealing, making it seem super cheap to get started. But then, bam, the renewals can jump up significantly. What should listeners really expect with HostGator in this regard, and how can they budget effectively so there are no nasty surprises down the line?
Yeah, this is an industry standard practice, absolutely not unique to HostGator, but it's a crucial point to understand upfront to avoid sticker shock later. They, like many other providers, often run very aggressive introductory promotions to attract new customers. That's how they compete in a crowded market. The key takeaway for you, the listener, is to absolutely expect that your renewal prices will be higher than your initial promotional price. Usually significantly higher, sometimes double or triple. This isn't some hidden trick, it's just how the business model generally works in shared hosting. They offer a low entry price, hoping you'll stay long-term at the regular rate. So to maximize your savings, especially with the Baby Plan where the value is spread over multiple sites, your best strategy is usually to lock in the longest initial term you can reasonably commit to. Typically 24 or 36 month offers the best initial discount per month. This secures that lower rate for a longer period before the standard renewal price kicks in. Also, remember that the free domain, if offered, is typically only free for the first year with a 12-month or longer plan. You have to pay the standard domain renewal fee after that. And of course, domain registration fees for any additional domains, any applicable tax or VAT depending on your location, and any optional add-ons you select like CodeGuard backups or SiteLock security are always separate from the core hosting price. So factor all those potential costs into your total budget calculation, not just the headline hosting price. Planning ahead here can save you a significant amount of money over the lifetime of your hosting account.
Excellent advice. Now, for our listeners outside the U.S., and that's a growing part of our audience, are there any special considerations they should keep in mind when looking at HostGator's Baby Plan? Things that might affect them specifically?
Yes, definitely a few important points for international buyers to be aware of. For payment, major credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and often PayPal are widely accepted globally, so payment itself is usually straightforward. However, the default currency for billing is typically US dollars, USD, unless you happen to be using a specific local HostGator brand or a partner in your region that bills in your local currency. So be aware of potential currency conversion fees from your bank or card provider. Regarding taxes, VAT, value-added tax in Europe, or GST, goods and services tax, in places like Canada or Australia may apply depending on your location and local tax regulations. HostGator will usually calculate and add this during checkout based on your billing address, so it's essential to factor that into your final budgeting. For domains, while common extensions like .com, .net, .org are available to anyone, some country code top-level domains like .co.uk for the UK, .ca for Canada, or .d for Germany have specific residency or business presence requirements. So always check the specific rules for a country code TLD before purchasing if you're aiming for one of those to make sure you're eligible to register it. And finally, on speed, as we've mentioned a couple of times now because it's important, HostGator's shared data centers are primarily located in the U.S., usually Texas and Utah. For audiences predominantly outside North America, using a content delivery network, CDN, is not just recommended, it is absolutely essential for good performance. Without a CDN, your international visitors will likely experience noticeably slower load times, which impacts their experience and potentially your SEO rankings in their region. So factor CDN setup, even the free Cloudflare tier, into your launch plan.
That's great practical advice for our global listeners. Okay, imagine someone listening has decided, yep, the Baby Plan sounds like the right fit for me, and they're ready to dive in. Give us a quick, actionable, step-by-step guide to actually launching, say, a WordPress site in minutes. using this plan. Make it so easy to follow that even someone who's maybe never built a website before can get their first site live without pulling their hair out.
Okay, challenge accepted. Let's walk through it. It's surprisingly straightforward and will get you, or our hypothetical designer Alex, up and running with a new client site or your own project in no time. Here we go. 1. Grab the best deal available and choose the baby plan. Head to HostGator's website, find the baby plan under shared hosting, and make sure you're getting the maximum introductory discount. Look for those longer 24 or 36-month deals if possible. Click buynow.time. Pick your domain name or bring one you already own. On the next screen, you'll either register a brand new domain name, type it in to check availability, or tell HostGator you already own a domain that you want to use with this hosting account. If it's the free domain offer, this is where you claim it. 3. Choose your term length and confirm the plan. Double check you've selected the baby plan and choose your billing cycle 12, 24, or 36 months. Remember, longer terms usually mean bigger initial discounts per month. 4. Create your account and enter billing info. Fill in your email, set a password, provide your address and payment details. Standard stuff. 5. Carefully review and uncheck any add-ons you don't immediately need. This is key. HostGators often pre-select several additional services like site lock security, code guard backups, SEO tools. Carefully review these and uncheck anything you don't want right now. You can always add them later from your Seek panel if you change your mind. Start lean to keep your initial costs down. 6. Complete the checkout process. Review your order summary, make sure the price looks right, including any taxes, and complete the purchase. 7. Wait for your welcome email and access cPanel. Once payment is processed, you'll receive welcome emails with your account details. Log into your HostGator customer portal, the main account dashboard, and find the button or link to launch cPanel. This is your hosting control panel. 8. Use the one-click installer for WordPress. Inside cPanel, look for an icon labeled WordPress installer, Softaculous Apps installer, or something similar. Click it. Select WordPress. Choose the domain you want to install it on from the drop-down menu. Fill in basic site settings like site name, admin username, and a strong password. Don't use admin. Click Install. The system will automate the entire process, creating the database, uploading files, setting permissions. It usually takes less than a minute. 9. Check SSL and false HTTPS. HostGator typically auto-installs the free Let's Encrypt SSL certificate shortly after domain setup or WordPress installation. Check your site in your browser using https.yourdomain.com to see if the padlock icon appears. If it does, great. Now log into your new WordPress admin dashboard, usually yourdomain.com/wp-admin. Go to Settings General. Make sure both the WordPress address URL and site address URL start with HTTPS. If not, add the S and save changes. Alternatively, install a simple plugin like Really Simple SSL to handle forcing HTTPS 10. Install essential plugins and configure basics. From your WordPress dashboard, install a caching plugin like W3 Total Cache or Lightspeed Cache, maybe a security plugin like WordFence, and an image optimization plugin like Smush. Also, go to Settings General to set your time zone. Go to Settings Permalinks and choose the postname option for SEO-friendly URLs. 11. Optional but recommended, connect Cloudflare. For better global speed and security, sign up for a free Cloudflare account. Add your domain, and Cloudflare will guide you through changing your domain's name servers at your registrar to point to Cloudflare. This routes your traffic through their network. 12. Publish your first page or post. Create a new page or post, add some content, hit publish, test how your site looks on desktop and mobile, and congratulations, you're officially live. It really can be that fast and straightforward, taking you from purchase to a fully functioning, secure WordPress website, often in under an hour, maybe even less if you're focused.
That is incredibly clear. A real step-by-step roadmap. It completely demystifies the whole process, especially for someone new to it, and definitely gives confidence to someone like Alex to quickly launch those client sites without getting bogged down in technical details. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's the goal. It's designed to be a quick, actionable guide. We want to make the process of launching multiple sites, especially WordPress sites, which are so popular, feel less daunting and much more empowering. It shouldn't be scary.
Okay, so let's say I'm now actively using the baby plan. I've got multiple sites running, maybe for different clients, various niche blogs, personal projects. How do I keep them organized? How do I avoid creating this messy, tangled web of files, databases, and login credentials that becomes impossible to manage?
That's an excellent and crucial question, because good organization is absolutely key to efficient and sane multi-site management, especially as your portfolio grows. First, and this is fundamental best practice, use one domain per unique folder within your hosting account, and crucially, a unique separate database for each site. Don't install multiple WordPress sites into the same database with different table prefixes that's asking for trouble. Keeping them separate prevents conflicts, keeps your site data completely isolated so if one site gets hacked, it doesn't automatically compromise others, and makes troubleshooting, backing up, or migrating individual sites much, much simpler down the road. For example, if you have cliente.com and neshblog.com, keep their core WordPress files in entirely separate root folders, maybe publish HTML cliente and public name neshblog, and ensure each connects to its own distinct MySQL database created in cPanel. Second, and this ties into security as well, maintain separate WordPress admin logins for each site. Don't use the same username and password across all your WordPress installs. This is not only excellent for security. A credential leak on one site doesn't immediately give access to all others, but it also vastly simplifies access control, especially if you're building sites for clients and need to grant them specific user roles and permissions without sharing your master admin credentials for everything. Third, a little bit of admin work pays dividends. Document your plugins, themes, and their versions for each site. Honestly, a simple spreadsheet noting what plugins, themes, and their current versions are actively used on which specific site domain can save you countless headaches later on when you're troubleshooting an issue. Which site had that weird conflict again? Planning updates across your portfolio, or needing to quickly replicate a particular setup for a new project. Finally, and this is more of a strategic tip for long-term management, if one particular client site or one of your own projects starts to get exceptionally large, consistently resource-intensive, or maybe outgrows the shared environment, be prepared to strategically migrate just that one site to its own, more powerful plan. Like upgrading that single site to a VPS or a managed WordPress plan without disturbing the rest of your sites that are perfectly happy on the baby plan. This allows for intelligent, targeted scaling, keeping your main baby plan account efficient and cost-effective for your other, less demanding projects. Don't feel you have to upgrade everything just because one site gets huge.
That's really smart. Manage the portfolio, but scale the individual assets as needed. Okay, what if I already have sites hosted elsewhere, maybe scattered across different providers, and I want to move them to HostGator's Baby Plan to consolidate everything? Is there an easy way to do that, or am I looking at a migration nightmare?
It definitely doesn't have to be a nightmare. There are a few reliable methods for migrations depending on your comfort level and situation. As we touched on earlier, your first port of call should always be to check if you qualify for HostGator's free site migration service. New accounts often get a limited number, maybe 1 to 3, check the current terms, of free migrations if requested within the first 30 days. If you qualify, absolutely take advantage of it. Submit a ticket quickly after purchase, provide the necessary details for your old hosting, and let HostGator's expert team handle the technical heavy lifting for you. This is often the simplest and least stressful path, especially if you're not super technical. Now, if you don't qualify for the free service or you prefer a DIY approach, you can use popular WordPress migration plugins. Tools like Duplicator, which has a free and pro version, or all-in-one WP migration are fantastic. These plugins are designed specifically for this. They package your entire WordPress site, all the files, themes, plugins, and the database into a single downloadable archive file. You then upload this archive to your new HostGator account, often via FTP or the cPanel file manager, and use the corresponding plugin installer script or companion plugin to restore the entire site with relative ease. They handle a lot of the tricky path and database connection updates automatically. You could also potentially leverage your existing backup tool if it has a robust migration or restoration feature that works across different hosting environments. After successfully migrating the files and the database using whichever method you choose, the crucial next step is to update your DNS, domain name system records at your domain registrar, wherever you bought the domain name, like GoDaddy, Namecheap, etc. You need to change the name servers or A records to point to HostGator servers. This tells the internet where your site now physically lives. DNS changes can take a few hours, sometimes up to 48 hours, to fully propagate worldwide. Lastly, remember after the migration to go back into cPanel on HostGator and configure those SPFD-KIM records for email again for that domain. This ensures your email deliverability remains strong from the new server, and your messages don't suddenly start ending up in spam folders because the sending server changed.
Great checklist for migrations. Now, a big question for many, can I really run a full-fledged online store on the Baby Plan? Or is it simply too limited for serious e-commerce? A lot of listeners might be wondering if their WooCommerce dreams are actually viable on this kind of shared hosting.
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely run an online store on the Baby Plan, and popular platforms like WooCommerce, which runs on top of WordPress, work perfectly fine for small to medium-sized stores. It's a very viable option for getting started and growing. However, the key to success with e-commerce on shared hosting like the Baby Plan is optimization. You need to be proactive about performance from day one. You'll definitely want to ensure you're using a CDN, as we discussed, to serve your product images, static content, and CSS files quickly to potential customers all over the world. Fast load times are critical for converting shoppers, especially for product pages. Also, enable caching. And this is really important for e-commerce, be very mindful to exclude dynamic pages like the shopping cart, the checkout pages, and maybe user account pages from being cached. These pages need to be live and unique for each user to process orders correctly, handle inventory checks, and manage sessions. Caching them can cause major problems with orders. Most good caching plugins have settings to easily exclude specific URLs or types of pages. Finally, as we discussed regarding email sending, seriously consider using a dedicated SMTP service like SendGrid, Mailgun, etc. for all your transactional emails, things like order confirmations, shipping updates, password resets, abandoned cart reminders. This guarantees much better deliverability than sending from the shared server, looks more professional, and avoids potential issues with sending limits. Now, if your traffic and orders spike consistently, maybe after a big marketing campaign or during a holiday season, or if you just notice persistent slowdowns during peak shopping times, even with optimization, that's your clear signal. That's when you know that specific e-commerce site needs to graduate to a more powerful plan, maybe HostGator's business plan, or ideally a specialized managed WooCommerce hosting solution, which is specifically tuned for e-commerce performance, or even a VPS. But for getting started, building your product catalog and handling those initial sales and growth, the Baby Plan is often a fantastic and very cost-effective springboard for many online stores.
Perfect. That gives people a realistic path forward for e-commerce. Okay, last question in this section, circling back to our more technically inclined listeners, the developers. We know it's shared hosting, but what does the Baby Plan offer, specifically in terms of developer tools, even if it's considered light compared to dedicated environments? What can they actually do with it?
Right. Even though it's shared hosting, cPanel still bundles several genuinely useful features that developers often need for standard web development tasks. You have easy access to cron jobs, as we've mentioned, really invaluable for scheduling automated tasks to run at specific intervals. Think running daily data cleanup scripts, processing background queues, automatically generating sitemaps, executing custom backup scripts, or maybe fetching external data periodically. PHPMyAdmin is readily available for direct database management. This allows you to browse table structures, run SQL queries directly, edit data, export-import databases, or optimize tables essential for debugging complex WordPress issues or managing application data. You also get that PHP version selector in cPanel. This is critical not just for performance, but also for compatibility and security. It allows you to easily switch between different available PHP versions like 7.4, 8.0, 8.1, 8.2, etc., ensuring your applications can run on the specific version they require, and ideally letting you leverage the speed and features of modern PHP 8.x versions. And importantly, SSH secure shell access is commonly available, although as mentioned, you might need to formally request HostGator support to enable it for your specific account. SSH is incredibly helpful for developers who prefer the command line interface, CLI. It allows for much faster file management than FTPS FTP, running command line tools like WP-CLI, WordPress command line interface, which is super powerful for managing WordPress installs, interacting with version control systems like Git for pulling updates or deploying code, or even running build processes for some front-end frameworks, though resource limits might apply here. However, just to reiterate the limitations for developers, no root access. You can't install custom server software or make low-level system configuration changes, and no built-in staging environments are standard on this shared plan. So testing requires manual cloning to subdomains or using WordPress staging plugins. So overall, it's a capable environment for most standard PHP MySQL web development tasks, especially WordPress development, offering the essential tools through cPanel and SSH, just without the deep customization or isolated resources of a VPS or dedicated server.
Okay, that's a really thorough breakdown. So pulling all of this together now, what's a truly realistic expectation when someone starts out on the HostGator Baby Plan? And maybe more importantly, how do you really know when it's genuinely time for one of your specific sites to grow beyond it? How do you recognize those critical signals?
Right. Setting realistic expectations is key. The realistic expectation is that you can confidently start on the Baby Plan for its outstanding cost efficiency and its simplicity, especially when you're launching new projects, managing multiple client sites that aren't massive traffic hogs, or running small to medium personal websites or blogs. It's an excellent foundational platform that provides immense value for the price, particularly with the unlimited sites feature. Now, how do you know when it's truly time for a specific site to grow beyond it? The key is continuous monitoring and being aware of performance trends. You should regularly utilize tools like GTmetrix, Google PageSpeed Insights, or maybe Pingdom to track your site's loading times from different locations and identify any emerging bottlenecks. Keep an eye on your Google Search Console Core Web Vitals reports too. Pay close attention to any user complaints about slow speeds, especially if they become consistent. Also, watch out for any error messages your site might be generating, like 500 internal server errors or 503 service unavailable errors, which can sometimes indicate resource exhaustion on the server. When one of your sites becomes a true star, maybe it's that e-commerce store we talked about, now with steadily increasing traffic and sales day after day, or perhaps it's a popular blog that's consistently attracting hundreds of thousands of monthly visitors and starting to feel sluggish during peak hours, and it demonstrably needs more power, more dedicated resources than the shared hosting environment can reliably provide even after you've optimized it. That's your clear cue. That's when you need to seriously consider scaling that specific site to a more dedicated environment. As we discussed, you could move it to HostGator's business plan, though the jump might not be huge, or more likely look at specialized managed WordPress hosting, a virtual private server, VPS, or potentially cloud hosting solutions. And remember the strategy. You can do this while strategically keeping your other, less resource-intensive sites right where they are on the cost-effective baby plan. This allows for intelligent, gradual, and cost-effective scaling as your portfolio evolves.
That's a really pragmatic approach. Okay, we get a lot of the same questions about this plan popping up, so let's quickly run through some common FAQs we hear from our listeners. Give us the quick, concise answers. First up, can I really truly host unlimited websites on the baby plan? It almost sounds too good to be true.
Yes, you genuinely can host an unlimited number of domains or websites, architecturally speaking. However, it's always within the acceptable use policy limits and the practical resource caps, CPU, RAM, inodes, inherent to any shared hosting environment. So, unlimited sites, yes, but not unlimited resources for those sites. But for typical usage, it offers incredible flexibility.
Gotcha. Next, do I actually get a free domain included with the baby plan?
Often, yes, you do get one free domain registration for the first year, but typically this requires signing up for a 12-month or longer initial term. However, the specific regions where this is offered and the exact terms of the promotion can vary, so always double-check the current offers on HostGator's site when you're signing up to be sure.
Is professional email included? Like me at mycoolsite.com.
Yes, professional email accounts using your own domain name are definitely included. You can easily set these up right inside your cPanel. And just to reiterate, we highly recommend configuring those SPF and DKIM records afterwards for better email deliverability to help your important messages avoid ending up in spam folders.
Okay, the big one again. What about backups? Are my sites automatically and reliably backed up by HostGator?
This is critical, so let's be crystal clear. Treat any courtesy backups HostGator might take as a potential bonus, maybe a last-ditch safety net, but never rely on them as your guaranteed backup solution. We cannot stress this enough. For reliable, consistent daily backups and easy one-click restores when you really need them, you absolutely must implement your own dedicated backup solution. Either purchase an add-on service like CodeGuard or use a trusted WordPress backup plugin configured to send your backups automatically to offsite cloud storage. Take responsibility for your data.
How good is the support, really? Can I count on them when I inevitably have a problem at 2 a.m.?
HostGator provides 24/7 support via live chat and phone, which is great for availability. In general, the response quality is pretty solid, especially for common issues like initial setup help, billing questions, and basic troubleshooting for things like WordPress or email. For more complex or niche technical issues, resolution might take longer or require escalation, but for most everyday needs, they offer a reliable support channel. And don't forget their extensive knowledge base for self-service answers, too.
Last FAQ. Will my site be fast globally, or is it really just going to be fast for U.S. visitors since their data centers are primarily U.S.-based?
With proper optimization specifically, using a content delivery network, CDN, like Cloudflare, even the free tier, along with good caching, image compression, and running modern PHP versions, yes, your typical small to medium websites hosted on the baby plan can achieve good loading speeds globally. The CDN is the key piece for international audiences. However, for very heavy, complex web applications or sites experiencing extremely high levels of global traffic, the underlying shared hosting resources might eventually become a bottleneck. even with a CDN, potentially requiring an upgrade to a more powerful hosting solution later on.
Perfect. That clears up a lot of common queries.
Okay.
Let's try and boil this entire deep dive down to the honest, clear pros and cons of the HostGator Baby Plan. What's the ultimate summary for listeners trying to weigh their options?
All right, let's lay it out, giving you that truly balanced perspective. On the pro side, and these are definitely significant advantages. First and foremost, you can host an unlimited number of websites under one single affordable plan. This is genuinely fantastic value for multi-site users, freelancers managing client portfolios, and growing entrepreneurs testing multiple ideas. It's the headline feature for a reason. It comes with a solid 99.9% uptime guarantee, giving you confidence and reliability, and also a very generous 45-day money-back refund policy on the hosting fees, which significantly reduces your initial risk when trying them out. It includes essential modern features right out of the box: free SSL certificates for all your domains via Let's Encrypt, the ability to create professional email accounts using your domain, and convenient one-click installers for popular applications like WordPress, making it easy to get started. You get industry-standard, user-friendly cPanel access, providing robust control over your hosting environment, and their 24/7 support is always available via chat or phone for assistance when you need it. However, to be completely honest, there are also some cons or limitations to be fully aware of. Because it's a shared hosting environment, there are inherent shared resource limits: CPU, RAM, inodes. If one of your sites becomes a runaway success with massive traffic, or if you're running particularly resource-heavy scripts, you might start hitting performance ceilings, leading to slowdowns or potential temporary issues. This isn't a flaw unique to HostGator, it's just the nature of shared hosting. Manage your expectations and plan for potential individual site upgrades if needed. As we've emphasized, backup reliability is explicitly not guaranteed. While they might take courtesy backups, you absolutely must invest in a reliable add-on solution like CodeGuard, or implement your own robust DIY backup strategy using plugins and offsite storage to truly protect your valuable website data. Don't rely on maybes. It follows the common industry standard practice of offering attractive introductory pricing versus significantly higher renewal costs. You absolutely need to be aware of this and plan for that price increase when your initial term expires, factoring it into your long-term budget. Lock in a longer term initially to maximize savings up front. Their primary data centers are US-based. While not necessarily a deal breaker, this really necessitates the use of a content delivery network, CDN, for audiences located primarily outside North America to ensure optimal loading speed and a good user experience for those international visitors. Factor CDN setup into your workflow.
That's a perfectly balanced summary. Thank you. So wrapping this all up, what does this all really mean for you, the listener? If you're someone who envisions spinning up more than one website this year, whether it's for clients, your own passion projects, maybe testing new business ventures, HostGator's Baby Plan truly stands out as one of the easiest, most feature-rich, and frankly lowest stress ways to actually do it without breaking the bank. The value proposition is undeniably clear. Unlimited sites under one roof, those unmetered resources within fair usage policies, and a nice long refund window, all bundled into an affordable package with standard tools like cPanel. If you pair it smartly with a good content delivery network, like the free Cloudflare tier, and a robust independent backup strategy, which you absolutely should, you've got an incredibly dependable and surprisingly scalable foundation, perfect for blogs, portfolios, small to medium e-commerce stores, and managing diverse client projects for audiences worldwide.
It genuinely removes so many of those common technical and financial headaches that often hold people back from expanding their online presence and really pursuing their digital ambitions.
Yeah, and that naturally leads us to a final thought for you to maybe consider as you move forward from this deep dive. In an increasingly digital world where practically every idea can, and perhaps should, become a website, how does the ability to quickly, easily, and affordably launch multiple online presences actually empower your specific creativity and your entrepreneurial spirit? Think about what previously complex or maybe daunting multi-site projects, client management scenarios, or experimental ventures now seem realistically within reach, simply because a flexible and cost-effective solution like the HostGator Baby Plan exists, ready to support your growth without massive upfront investment or complexity. What doors does that open?
Yeah. Think about that and what incredible possibilities that simple shift in capability opens up for you personally or professionally. We really hope this deep dive is giving you the clarity, the context, and the practical insights you need to make your next hosting decision with absolute confidence.